morning. I'd like to call the Northwest Indiana Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, January the 18th. The order is 9:09. I apologize for the lateness. Before we do the pledge, I'd like to just say that right now we currently have enough people for an executive board meeting and not a full commission meeting. So we ask that once she takes the roll, then we'll confirm that. But for right now, it will be an executive board meeting and not a full commission meeting. So thank you for your attendance, for bringing this forward. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Hollenbeck, any new appointments to the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 7 certificates of appointment that we've received. All of them are in proper form. The Porter County Council, Andy Vasquez is appointed to the NERC Board. The City of Hobart, the mayor is appointing himself to the NERC Board. The City of Portage, we have a trend here. The mayor is appointing himself to the NERC Board. The town of Burns Harbor, Kurt Jordan is appointed by the town council. The town of Dune Acres, Bonnie Hawksworth is appointed to the NERC Board. The town of Dyer is appointing Mary Tanis to the board, and the town of Couts is appointing C.J. Whitmer to the board. All of the appointments are in proper form, and they should be welcome to our membership.
Okay. You need anything from Town of Garrett?
I do not have one from the town of
I don't think we've received that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome to all the new representatives. Glad to have you.
Roll call, please.
Kyle Allen,
Present.
Dwayne Arndt, Thomas Black, Austin Bonta.
Here.
Kevin Brightsky,
Here.
Robert Carnahan,
Here.
Bill Carroll, Tim Clayton, Anthony Copeland, Don Kraft,
Here.
Tom Dermody,
Present.
Dinah Dubris,
Present.
Denise Ebert,
Present.
Bill Emerson,
Here.
Connie Grammarosa, Bonnie Hawksworth,
Here.
Tony Hendricks, Josh Huddleston, Ellen Hunt, Kurt Jordan,
Here.
Justin Keel,
Present.
Scott Keenan, Peter Land,
Here.
Tom McDermott, Lori Mercer, Wendy Miss, Edward Morales,
Here.
Randall Niemeyer, Jim Pressel, Barb Regnitz,
Here.
Lisa Rosencrans,
Present.
Regina Riddell, Rick Rifa, Tom Schmidt,
Here.
Steve Spivard, Gerald Swets,
Present.
Sharon Zwido, here, Mary Tanis, Jim Tunn,
Present.
George Topol,
Present.
Andy Vasquez,
Present.
C.J. Whitmer,
Here.
John Yelkich.
Here.
We have a quorum of 26. Oh, we need 27. I got so excited. We are one short, so it'll be an executive board meeting as of now.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll have the presentation of the Norman E. Tucker Award.
Fantastic. So, as for those of you who have been on the commission, you know this is typically is an annual tradition. The award honors Norm Tucker, who was the very first executive director of NERC when NERC was founded in the mid-'60s. And we've had an august group of folks that have been honored with this award for their outstanding leadership and their commitment to regionalism and trying to promote Northwest Indiana to look at themselves as a regional entity and promote that kind of collaboration. John Swanson is here today as my predecessor as NERC Executive Director, so happy to have John here as well. And I am very pleased to be able to announce the Norm Tucker Award this year for someone who has literally worked with every executive director since NERC's history, so all 4 executive directors. And as we think about this person, they have also literally been involved in every significant regional project that you can think of. They have had a hand in. And this year's Tucker Award goes to David Hollenbeck, our attorney. Dave has been, tells me, he goes back to the time I graduated high school, is when he started with the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, so about 83 or 84. So Dave, congratulations and a sincere thank you for all your service to NERC and for the region. Thank you. We can get a,
Every time I walk in here, I go by the wall mount of all those who have been honored with Norm Tucker's memory with this award, and it is truly humbling to see that list of names. Next time you walk by there, look at those names. Those are the movers and the shakers of influence in Northwest Indiana since the creation of this award. So I'm really privileged to have had the opportunity. As Ty alluded to, I've been able to work with all 4 of the executive directors of this organization. Norm Tucker, who this award is named after, was a preacher for regionalism long before it was a popular subject. Jim Ranfranz, the second one, taught us that collaboration worked much better than conflict. John Swanson taught us there's actually something good that can come out of Chicago. And Ty Warner, our current executive director, led us through the most pragmatic period of time attached to the pandemic, and in his leadership brought us out stronger and better as an organization for it. If you've never done this, get on the NERC website and click on the chronological history of this organization. And I would tell you to take a minute or 2 to read that, but it's 30 pages long. So it's going to take you a little more than a minute or 2, but it's worth it because it brings home the importance and the significance of why you are here today and the importance of the significance of what occurs here. I don't know how many of you have seen Hamilton, but there's a line in Hamilton that really applies to this group. And to digress a little bit, and I'm not going to take a lot of your time, Hamilton in the play is being chastised by his spouse because he's never home. And what is his response? He needs to be in the room when it happens. And that's what all you guys are. You're in the room when it happens. And it's been a pleasure and an honor and to rub shoulders and to have been a small part over the last 40-some years of this organization is the reason you get up in the morning. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. If I could indulge your patience just for a minute, if I could get John Swanson, and Lee Morris is here also as a former NERC chair, and anybody who has served, and Michael just walked in. Thank you, Michael. Anybody who's been a former NERC chair, if we could get a picture up here with Dave, that would be fantastic. Thank you for your patience for this. I know this is awkward to watch.
Michael just walked in and he's
I'll do mine for the social media. I know what you're doing yours for.
Can I put them on the website?
Story's good. Anybody who served as chair.
What a group.
So he'll go first.
Justin, can you switch with?
Yeah, so he's in the middle. Thank you.
All right, this goes on Instagram, so watch out. Maybe even TikTok if you're lucky. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bud.
Good job.
Thank you all for your patience.
Let's get back to work.
And where's your official box?
Okay, we don't have any public comment, and so moving forward, we will go to the officers and executive board for 2024. A report from nominating committee.
So that is the one item that we cannot vote on without a full commission quorum. And so let me just, before we move on from that item, just verify that we haven't had any people walk in to bring us up to 27.
I've been looking at them in the room.
With your leave, Mr. Chairman, I'm not a member, I'm a past member and a past chair. I don't have authority to speak to the committee as a member of the commission, but I'd like permission to speak.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I am aware of the appointment having been lawfully made by the council executive. I have personal knowledge of that. Paperwork was signed for actually Councilwoman Keisha Harding to assume the chair, to assume the position for Maryville. We're just waiting for the attesting signature of the clerk treasurer. I regret that. As the interim manager, I can encourage and cajole, but I don't have peer status with the elected officers, so my appeal apparently is not as good as it once was. But I assure you that she is the lawful appointee. I do defer to Mr. Hollenbeck. I know they need the certification to be signed, but I have personal knowledge of both, having watched them witness. I prepared the certificates in fact, and I did email Ms. Eklund to know of that. So I know the facts are true, but I defer to Mr. Hollenbeck as to whether or not she could take a seat in the absence of that certificate being finalized. And it's not even a discretionary power of the clerk at this point. It's a ministerial act, but we do need his signature. He's not made any deputies in his office, and therefore it really has to be him. And I beg the commission's pardon. And I thank your leave for allowing me to speak.
Thank
Oh, the impeccable reputation. Michael, I am concerned about precedent.
I understand.
We need to have something in writing, and we tell people that, and we condole, we tell them they need to get it in. And with that in mind, I'm reluctant to suggest that we acquiesce in your request.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Candy, just to confirm, you have Mr. Vasquez in the tent? Okay. I was hoping that might have swayed things.
Well, I have a dual personality.
I'm sorry. So with that in mind, so Mr. Dermody is vice chair, so he still can function the chairing role, so that's not an issue. But we will need to schedule a full commission meeting, try again in February, to try to elect the new officers. So we'll be able to function just fine, but we won't be able to formally approve that new slate until we have a full commission meeting. There are only. Go ahead.
To add, the reason this is problematic is because our enabling statute lists things that the full commission can do as opposed to the executive board. And one of those is elect officers. And that's why it's critically important that we have the full commission in being present, as opposed to a lot of things that we do are delegatable to the executive board.
So this will be a test to see how I do before February.
That's like probation. So, just to put the dates on your calendar, and again, for those of you, I know I say this a lot, but I know we have a lot of new folks on the commission. Typically, the only expectation, if you're not on the executive board, is for the 4 full commission meetings per year. And those are, we have a calendar, I believe, in your packet. In this particular case, and you're always welcome to be at the executive board meetings regardless. It's just that those executive board meetings are only, the only voting representatives are the executive board. But in this case, since we weren't able to approve the slate, we'll schedule February 15th, which is our next executive board meeting, February 15th. We will notice that as a full commission meeting and appeal for you all to be present again on the 15th if you can. Again, you're always welcome to come regardless, but we'll try again on the 15th for the officers' side.
Thank you. Okay, then, at this time, we will get to the matter at hand.
So if I can, I know, I'm sorry to keep jumping.
That's okay.
Richard very graciously agreed to kick this meeting off today and be here to get us started. As you know, technically, Richard is no longer on the town council of Maryville. So even though we do not technically have a slate, I'd like to still suggest we do the official passing of the gavel. So even though technically he's still vice chair, Mayor Dermody, we can have that exchange and can run with the meeting even as we thank Richard for his long service.
Can I make a motion to that effect?
Yes. Okay. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
And exactly what is your motion, Joe?
The motion is that we proceed as Ty suggested with the temporary board in lieu of the current situation.
Okay. You heard the motion in the second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, sign with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion-
And there again, only the executive board can vote on that.
Yes,
So everybody else, we can't vote out.
right.
Thank you, Bob. I think it was unanimous on the executive board.
Thank you, Robert.
But with that, thank you, George.
Thanks,
I'm
Jim.
not sure if I could make a motion.
Yeah.
Who would be the motion second on the executive board?
I'll second.
Jim.
So Jim Tun, and it sounds like Justin, I think.
That was Kyle.
second. Or Kyle, I'm second.
Okay. Okay.
So we're good. So with that, rather than keep dragging Richard back here, I would just like to say Richard has been, every chair that I've had since I've been here in my 10 years at NERC has been tremendous. And again, for those of you new on the commission, these typically change every year. And so I've gotten the privilege of working with quite a few, and they've all been wonderful, and Richard is absolutely no exception. He's been conscientious, he's been faithful to be at NERC meetings, he's always available, always responsive, and it's been a pleasure to work with him, and I'm looking forward to working with Mayor Dermody now in the transition. But I just want to thank Richard for his service as chair, and we have this official plaque to welcome, to thank him for his service. With, if you've seen this before, it's actually a removable gavel, so you can, this is functional as well as decorative. So with that, thank you very much for your service. And Richard, so how far back has your service been with
I have no idea.
with Maryville? And
20 years.
20 years at Maryville, and I forget how long you've been with NERC, but a good chunk of that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So thank you. With that, if there's a peaceful exchange of power here, that we can acknowledge that. Would be fantastic. You don't have to.
Well, thank you, and again, it was an honor to serve with Richard, what a gentleman, to get things done, and I look forward to continuation. I think NERC is an example of putting politics aside, the Republicans and Ds leaving them at the door, working together, and getting things accomplished, and we can set that standard and continue to from the congressional level down where nothing gets done, and they should all be ashamed of themselves, and that's just me personally, so not everything. We will set the standard for government to get better, so thank you. With that, we will move.
Yep.
I may interrupt. This is Jenny Byers. She is from Schneider. James Gerald's the previous commissioner retired. Now, when I got in this morning, I did see that I received an appointment letter for January yesterday, and she is now here. So now we have a quorum. This is Jenny Byers of Schneider.
We can pass out. So I think Candy has copies of the nomination slate. So with that,
You need to see
we're
that?
convening it. If you can pass out that slate, we're in a position to go ahead and vote for those officers now, even though we're kind of jumping around the agenda here.
So do we have a motion for a slate for 2024?
You gotta pass it out.
I don't think they have it in front of them quite yet. We didn't think we had a full quorum, so we didn't pass it out, but that's great.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
Mr. Hallebeck, you need to see a copy of that appointment letter.
I would like to.
While you turn.
While that's getting passed out and while Candy grabs the official appointment letter, so the nominating committee has selected officers for the executive board and the officers for the nursing commission on that. You'll notice there's one item that we don't have, which is for treasurer. We had some rather last minute problems with that, largely related to changeovers and elections and that sort of thing. So there is a spot yet to be filled that we'll have to fill later. Assuming that you approve this slate of the executive board for 2024, Wendy Miss, who unfortunately could not be here today because she's at the AIM newly elected officials training, she has agreed to continue the functions as treasurer, which she has done this past year. So even though we will be, if you so vote, even though we will be moving Wendy to the vice chair slot, she is happy to continue to fulfill the treasurer function until we have that slot formally filled. If that makes sense.
Yes, so we do have the recommendations of the nominating committee. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Your approval?
It's approved. So
I'm
we
sorry
have
to
8.
keep interrupting.
Please.
I missed a portion of what's going on, so what was voted on and who motioned the second?
For the approval of the
Who voted
slate.
slate, okay.
And
Gerald was the Gerald Sweets and Kyle Allen.
Thank you so
was the
much.
second.
My apologies.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, and I'm so glad if I can. So we will still have an executive board meeting on February 15th, and you are, again, more than welcome to be here, but now that we've been able to do that, that will no longer be a full commission meeting. So just to correct that. Great.
Approval of minutes of the December 7th meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Robert, I have a motion and a second. Kevin? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Report of the executive director, Ty.
Fantastic. The first item in there is just a reference to the committee schedule that are the dates. I believe that's in the packet, but rather than you looking for it, if you don't have it, we have mailed that out. We can send that. You will get that as a new commissioner in a welcome packet that we have. You need to see that. The dates are shaded for the full commission meeting, so you can put those on your calendar. Correct me if I'm wrong, Candy. I'm going off the top of my head, but I believe it's
It is on
today.
page 5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Page 5. Thank you. So those dates, just real quick for the full commission, are January 18th, April 18th, September 19th, and December 5th. It's easy for these commission meetings because they're typically on the third Thursday. It's just in December, we move things up because of the holiday, so that's the one exception. So again, if you're not on the executive board, the real expectation is for those shaded dates. And as you can see, as happened today, we do have certain things that do require a full commission vote, so that's why the attendance is really important on those 4 dates. The other dates are executive board meetings, which is this group up here, and they're the only ones that would vote on those days. But again, you are more than welcome to come, and in fact encouraged to come to the meeting. There's still plenty of discussion, even if at those meetings you don't vote if you're not on the executive board. So that's the calendar dates. Just have a couple of items, if you'll bear with me for a moment. Just first of all, I want to thank Portage for supplying an officer today. We used to have this, and there's nothing anybody should be concerned about for having an officer here. It's just acknowledged that we have multiple mayors, town officials, et cetera, all together in one place. And Prudence suggested that we just have someone present, just for some safety and security. They're not here for any other reason than to make sure you all are all comfortable and just to prevent. Well, we hate to think about those kind of things, but just to make sure that there's a police officer present. We used to have that, I think, during COVID. Just a lot of things changed or whatever. So thank you, Mayor, for having the police officer. Appreciate that. A few other things on my list. If you're not a coffee drinker, I'm very excited about this because I am very much into coffee. So I've started a new thing today I'm very excited about, which is trying to get some local roasters in Northwest Indiana to support our small businesses and give them good exposure, providing coffee at our full commission meetings. And today is the first one of that for 2024. So if you didn't see the sign out there, or if you didn't get coffee, I encourage you to rush out there and grab them. This is Yagi Road Roasters out of Valparaiso. They supply coffee in LaPorte, at Evie's, I know they're out there, all over the region. Their main coffee bar is at the Press in downtown Valparaiso. But they have graciously supplied coffee for you all today, and appreciate that you give them their business. And also ask in the future, as we keep this going, I have gotten to know some of the roasters around the region, but if you have someone in your particular neck of the woods that roasts locally, that would be interested in supplying good coffee to our commission meetings, then please have them get in touch with me, and we would love to spotlight them as well. So thank you again to Yagi Road, and encourage you to grab a cup of that. A few other things real quickly. So again, I want to thank everybody for coming here, particularly in the snow, and particularly for our newer commissioners. If you haven't received a welcome letter from me already, you will. That will give you probably more than you want to know about what happens in NERC and give you lots of bedtime reading material that goes along with that. So please keep a lookout for that. Just a quick note that Wendy missed, and again, we unfortunately lost some folks today who were at the AIM, which is Accelerating Indiana Municipalities Conference in Indianapolis today. So that's why we're a little light, but so thankful for the quorum today, and thank you, Mayor, again for rushing up from that. Tom was down there as well. So Wendy Miss couldn't be here today, but Wendy and Justin and Tom and myself will be traveling to Washington, D.C. in February with the National Association of Regional Councils. And we'll be happy to report back how that conference goes. For those of you who are new here, we've been extremely active in that organization. That's a national organization that supports organizations like NERC, so other regional councils across the country. Wonderful opportunity to rub shoulders with not only my counterparts as other executive directors, but NARC, which has a very unfortunate name, NARC, if you want to call it that instead. Is a little bit unique in that they are run by elected officials such as yourselves that serve on regional councils. So not only do I get to associate with other executive directors, but the elected officials from NERC that go to these conferences are able to talk to other elected officials that are in similar capacities at other regional councils across the country. So it's a really good opportunity. So just heads up that we'll be traveling there, and we'll report back on that when we return. The last thing I want to talk about is just to follow up on the resolution that you approved in December, which is in support of NERC's local appropriations adjustment. And without going through the slides, or showing the slides again that I showed last time, just as a recap for those that weren't here, NERC receives, in order to operate, a local appropriation from each of the 3 counties that supplies our local share. And that is what we use for everything to be able to operate it at NERC. That returns back 4 times that amount in federal funds. There is literally, we've talked about this multiple times before, but there's literal federal money on the table that we should be able to access that we cannot because we are limited by how much local share we receive. That's 70 cents per capita, which is the amount per person per county that we receive. has not been changed since 1992. And as I showed at a slide in December, if you weren't here, that 70 cents is worth 30 cents today. So our budget has correspondingly taken the same downward curve as that local share. And we've talked about this a lot, that this is now the closest we've ever gotten to finally getting that adjusted, which is House Bill 1251, which I've put copies out for you. And thanks again to staff for copying these out this morning. What I've included here is the actual bill language, the fiscal impact statement from the state, and then the resolution that you all approved in December. So if you didn't get that, there are more copies, and please grab that. So the challenge that we're in, and I may ask for help in discussing this because we talked about this at Finance and Personnel Committee today, is we have the bill filed by Representative Slager, which we're very, very grateful for. It is in Ways and Means Committee in the state. But as I can understand, what he has been requesting is support from the counties to know that they understand what that impact is and are aware of that for their future budgeting, et cetera. That wouldn't go into effect as it's drafted until 2025, so counties would be able to prepare for 2025 for this adjustment. But getting that support has been difficult in this time frame. I'm very thankful to LaPorte County. Justin Keel is on the LaPorte County Council. They had their organizational meeting at the beginning of this month, unanimously supported the request. So LaPorte County has given their support. It's been a bit more challenging to figure out schedules and whatnot to obtain that support from Lake and Porter County councils, especially within the very short time frame in a short session that Representative Slager is looking for that support and able to move it on. So I am happy to talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere about the request and the need for it. We have discussed it at length at Finance and Personnel Committee, and we've been talking about this at NERC for a long time. So there are others that have been very involved in this that can speak to other elected officials about this. And if you are in, again, we have the support from LaPorte County Council, and I greatly appreciate their support. If you are in Lake or Porter County Council, we would greatly appreciate your reaching out to county council members and trying to get their understanding of this ask and what it would mean, and conveying that to the state and for us to be able to communicate that. I don't know if there's anything, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I don't know, we discussed this, I don't know if there's anybody else from the committee.
To distill it down further, what we really have to deal with here is we have 6 days before there's a deadline in the Ways and Means Committee to get letters of support from the 14 council members in the 2 counties that have not signed on at this point. We don't believe it's likely to be able to get this in a meeting, so we are resorting most likely to needing to get individual letters of support. If we can get at least a majority of those 17 members, we should be able to make the case to Representative Slager that we should move forward with the bill. So I guess the action step for us collectively here today is how do we convince those 14 people to send letters of support and do it quickly?
And I'd like to add to that, I mean, not to put Kyle on the spot, but how do we give support, Kyle, from your perspective? What, can we do anything to help with your other members? Do you see this as a problem, or do you think we can get this signed?
Me and Mr. Warner have had these conversations, and he has sent correspondence to the county council. And I've had my individual conversations with some of the members, and I've explained to them that accounting for, I guess for lack of a better word, it comes like inflation. I want to use that word.
That's correct.
That they don't act at the state to mandate it. So I would rather, I explained to them that I would rather they prioritize where those funds come from versus the state imposing its sovereign political will. I want to use that word. So they know, I've been talking to them individually, and Mr. Warner provided their contact information, so they know. Now, the hesitation, don't understand it, because it's required that we leverage those dollars for the collective good of those 3 counties. But they have been informed, and they know that they don't act, and someone will act on their behalf. That's the nicest I can be.
And Ty, this is the 3rd time this has been tried to get passed, correct?
There were, I know, I can't even see if John's still here. I didn't know John had to leave. My predecessor, John Swanson, had started to go down this path at some point, and I don't know exactly what obstacle he came up against that. I know we had had at least 2 of the counties support, and I think something happened for the 3rd, and I don't even remember what counties those were. So this is the second time that we've made an actual approach to the state legislature that I know of. We, as a commission, we adopted 2 resolutions in 2019 supporting this, but so we did make an attempt to communicate that to the legislature, but COVID happened and we lost a lot of traction on being able to get that enacted in that following session. So I suppose from that perspective, it was 3 attempts, but there were at least twice under 2 different executive directors that we made significant progress with the counties to try to gain their support for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for your support and help and anything that I can do, or it's of course extremely helpful to have the communities within our region recognize the support and communicate it as elected officials to elected officials. That is most helpful than NERC staff trying to make that case. So appreciate any of your assistance in trying to have this bill be able to move out of Ways and Means. Again, this is the closest that we've gotten in having a bill drafted. The need has been discussed literally for years. But we're at a point where it's becoming more and more critical, as I don't know if Talia is in the room, but our Chief Financial Officer would attest, this is getting to be a more and more challenging budget situation every year for us to provide the regional services that we're not only happy to provide, but actually required to provide. And so we're able, I don't know how else to put it, but do less and less because we have less and less to work with. So thank you for your help in trying to move this ahead.
And I'd also like to thank Commissioner Wegmans for doing her part to try to help us as well with the county council as well, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Perfect attendance.
Yeah, perfect attendance. So I know this is, you've been very, very patient with picture taking and all that, and this can take a lot of time. I think I'll do what I did last year just for the sake of ease, is read off the folks that have had perfect attendance over the previous year. Rather than me racing around and pretend to be some kind of game show host or something, I'm just going to read off the names, and then maybe if you can approach me or Candy after the meeting to actually get your certificates, that's probably the most convenient way to do that. And I know, unfortunately, ironically, some folks couldn't be here today again because of the AIM. So even though they will be receiving a perfect attendance award, they're not actually here today. So again, just to, I know I've said this probably ad nauseum, but again, this shouldn't, we have attendance awards for those that have attended every single meeting that was scheduled in the previous year. So, and again, if you're on the full commission but not on the executive board, we don't actually expect you to be here at every single meeting, though you're encouraged and welcome to be. So for those that are not on the executive board that may be receiving this particular award, this is really above and beyond because they've been at every single meeting. Richard Hardaway, I should have given you before he left. We will definitely get that to Richard. Robert Carnahan, congratulations. Don Kraft, congratulations. Thank you. Denise Ebert, I think she's, okay, I didn't see you behind Justin. Congratulations, thank you. Bill Emerson, congrats. Ellen Hunt is down at AIM for the newly elected officials training from Beverly Shores, but she's received that award as well. Likewise for Jane Jordan from Burns Harbor. Great to have, I can give it to you to convey back, thank you. And Justin Keel, I can give you yours, good job. And Denise, I can send yours down too. Sue Lynch, prior mayor of Portage, was, I hope the track record continues. Wendy Miss, clerk treasurer from Munster, is down at AIM as well. Tom Schmidt from Cherville. And Jim Tunn, go ahead and pass that down maybe, from Chesterton. So these are the ones that have not missed a single NERC Commission meeting in all of 2023. And so, thank you. Congratulations. We have, in addition to that, these are, let's see, this is an additional award for all full commission meetings in 2023. So we have Thomas Black, Diane Dumbrus, Jack Geralds, Schneider's has been replaced, and Edward Morales. So we will make sure we get these to you as well. So congratulations to everyone who's able to be here for. And I know things happen, so no shame to anyone, but thank you again for your commitment to NERC and being present through sleet and hail and snow and all the above. So thank you all very much.
Finance and Personnel Committee, Wendy Miss is still at AIM. So the Finance and Personnel Committee met this morning to review the financial reports for November 2023. Also reviewed were bank reconciliations and claim registers for November 2023. There is one action item for consideration today, a request for the approval to execute a contract for the Marquette Greenway project for Butler, Fairman, and Seward. This contract comes with a favorable recommendation.
And Charles Bradsky.
Charles will come forward.
Lisa as well.
Thank you, Charles and Lisa.
Good morning, members of the commission. The contract that's in the meeting packet today, and I don't normally like to do this, and I know Ty doesn't like this, but the contract that's in the packet is not the contract that we would like you to consider. Yesterday afternoon, we found out that being NDOT is a pass-through for these funds, that they require that the contract use their template. So our designer, our consultant, graciously went back and rapidly used the new NDOT template instead of the one that they had fashioned, that they use for their own local projects. The monetary amount is the same, and the details are I shouldn't say the details, but the overall scope is the same. It's just the details have changed because NDOT is now, as I mentioned, is a pass-through on this contract. Last year, we brought this to the commission before, and to the Finance and Personnel Committee. But things, and it was approved, thank you very much. But since then, the overall scope of the project has changed. Prior to December, or actually prior to November, we were looking at the Marquette Greenway as a trail that would be funded for design and construction in the cities of Gary and Portage, as well as construction in Michigan City and construction in Michigan. So this is a bi-state. We're working with the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission and doing a portion of their trail up there. So what has changed? We were looking at an accelerated construction method. So we were hiring a consultant to get that going for us. We at NDOT do not put out projects. As you know, we are a planning commission. We do not do infrastructure projects. This is an infrastructure project. So Federal Highway had asked that we hire a consultant to be our project manager to get this moving and get this going and get it complete. As of last year, we were looking at design and construction in Gary, design and construction in Portage, construction in Michigan City, and construction in Michigan. Since then, we've scaled it back and taken out construction in Portage and the city of Gary, those two cities. So we are doing design in Portage and the city of Gary. We're still doing construction and design and construction, just construction in Michigan City and design and construction in Michigan. So we are no longer going through an accelerated construction method. Those of you who don't know what that means is normally if you do an infrastructure project, you do the design, You put together a bid package, you put it out for a bid, then construction starts. That's the typical route. But we were looking at doing a design build where we brought in a designer and a contractor early on and have them work together in putting this together. We don't have to do that now. We can go through the normal track and just design it and take our time doing it right, and then put it out for bid when we have future funds. So we're not doing any construction in Lake or Porter counties, just LaPorte County and in Michigan. So that is how the contract has changed, and we felt that we needed to bring it back before the commission because the scope had changed some. Now, what's in the packet, like I mentioned, and the new contract that we have that we got yesterday evening, again, the dollars are the same. The generalities are the same. Appendix A, I think is on 17 or 14, is still the same, but we're just using NDOT's template, which in the packet does not have that template. Yes.
Charles got his last night. I got mine at 8:15 this morning. So we just haven't had a chance to delve down into the details. On a surface look, it looks like, as Charles alluded to, it's just NDOT changing to their template from what we have had and is in your packet. So I would like the opportunity to have any action taken by the full commission to be contingent upon my opportunity to confirm that and make sure that between the two of us, we don't find something that we're not anticipating.
Can I add one thing to that? Is I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think FHWA and NDOT also have to review the contract. So I think the contingency should be legal review plus Federal Highway and NDOT.
We did get, this morning, I was informed at 9 o'clock that we did get Federal Highway approval of this contract. So,
so NDOT.
Yes.
And I'd like to thank NDOT for putting this contract on their form because it's going to help NERC
Yes.
at the federal level. So Matt, thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a question. What's the cost, estimated construction cost overall? Do we have a number on that?
The estimated construction cost for the entire,
Yeah, whatever that's engineering.
for what we're doing here,
Yeah.
is 5.9 million.
The entire project is $9.1 million.
$9.1.
At this time, that's 1%.
Thank you.
So we need a motion to approve, how would we best state that legally? With your approval, with legal approval.
Motion to approve the contract contingent upon the approval of NERC's attorney and NDOT.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
I'd like to ask something. Oh, sorry.
Mayor.
Hey, so didn't expect to speak on anything today, but first off, when it comes to the part 2, going through Portage, I think that's excellent about going through and going over the Burns, waterway. I wanted to make sure, Ty, I know we talked about this, a top priority in Portage that we're working on right now. We're submitting the Ready Grant application for it this week, but I hope that we get the Ready Grant, but even if we don't, this is a top priority, and we're going to continue seeking funding for it.
Yeah.
It's a top priority for us in Portage to extend Burns Drive, which is the road you all, use to get in here, to get the bridge over the waterway and connect that up there by the train station. We've talked with Nick, we're talking with a lot of people to get moving on this very quickly. I just kind of wanted to know, or if there's clarification, if we build it and there's a way to take what we're doing and partner with getting the Marquette Trail through there, we're very open to that. I understand that for the purpose of NERC, you want to make sure you've got a plan no matter what. I'm just wondering, does this contract at all limit the ability to get involved with the Portage work if there's a way to combine that later?
It's a great question. Can I defer to either Mitch or,
Mayor, we had a discussion with your staff the other day about this very matter, and they talked to us about the project limits. Right now, the city of Portage is intending to take the project to US 12. However, there's a problem. It's getting into Ogden Dunes. We have 2 sets of tracks. You have the Nicky tracks and the Norfolk Southern tracks. Trying to get an at-grade crossing for Norfolk Southern is not an easy sell.
Absolutely.
So we believe because of the confluence of transportation corridors, we are gonna be aiming for a bridge to cross over all of that, US 12 and the 2 sets of tracks into Otter Creek. That will be the engineering work we're gonna be assuming with this contract, because you are now taking the project south of US 12 right here to Burns Parkway. So that is the understanding.
Got it. Thank you.
Does that work?
I mean, I believe so.
I hope so.
I'm all for this. I just want to make sure that what we're doing isn't creating a problem later, with this, so.
No, it's actually complementing it quite well, because we're gonna need the money that we had assigned for this entire trail, just for that bridge. That bridge is not cheap.
Yes.
We're looking at a $10 million facility.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Vasquez?
Just out of curiosity, we're going into the state of Michigan with this as well.
Yes, this trail, as we applied for the race train, originally was a 3-state trail going from Chicago. The Marquette Greenway Trail is actually going to go from Chicago all the way to New Buffalo, Michigan. So it's going through 3 states. The portion in Illinois has already been constructed, so it does not need to be part of this. And there is a portion, so we are going into Michigan.
Into New Buffalo, that far.
Well, yes. And the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission has already supplied NERC with their portion of the local share.
Thank you, sir.
So none of that is going to be coming from our coffers.
Call the question. Just one last, did I hear someone else had a question? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Confirm the second. Ms. Hunter.
I call the question.
You can go down to the
Thank you.
NERC building lease for an update, David Hollenbeck.
Thank you. Our lease on this facility expired on December 31st. The timing was unfortunate because we were in a hurry to try to get completion of that before the new administration came along.
Not because you have anything to be afraid of.
That's right. When it became apparent to me that we weren't going to be able to accomplish it with the prior administration, we did secure a 30-day extension of the current lease in hopes that we could get it wrapped up during that time. I'm still confident we can do that. The problem is it may not be more toward the end of this month, and you're not scheduled to meet in that type of time frame to approve it. So what we're asking today, now that we have a chairperson, that you delegate to our chairperson, to Ty and myself, to wrap up the aspects of this that still need some attention. All the big rocks have been moved. We've agreed to an amount and all the other things. It's the little details that we're still having to work out with the new administration, and in fairness to them, they weren't involved in our discussions that went on during November and December as we attempted to bring closure to this. And I'm sure that we can accomplish it in the 30-day extension period, but I'd like to do that with your chairman and your executive director and your attorney having been delegated the ability to accomplish that.
So do we have a motion?
I move
Yes.
that we delegate the authority to the three of you.
Second.
Who was the second?
I was.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. Questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We'll be in touch.
Got it.
Technical Planning Committee, Kevin Brightsky.
Okay, the Technical Planning Committee met on Tuesday, January 9th. The committee heard a presentation from staff on the land use and housing chapter of the recently adopted Northwest Indiana 2050 Plus plan. Staff will continue to present additional chapters of the document at future TPC meetings. There's only one action for consideration today, which is Resolution 2401, the Safety Performance Measure Targets for 2024. The resolution is found on pages 36 and 37 of your packet. Scott Weber will now give a brief report. The Technical Planning Committee does recommend adoption of Resolution 2401. Mr. Weber.
Thank you. I'd like to call your attention to pages 36 to 39 of your agenda packet, where you'll find Resolution 24-01 on adopting safety performance measures and incorporating those safety performance measures into our NWI 2050 Plus, as well as our fiscal years 2024 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Program. Specifically, I'd like to call your attention to the tables on pages 38 to 39, but the easiest way to see what you'll be asked to be adopting today is the table on page 39. If you look at the rightmost column there, you can see the proposed 2024 safety performance measure targets. So every year, by federal law, NERC is required to either agree with the state or INDOT's performance measure targets for safety or set our own within 180 days of INDOT taking action. INDOT sent us a letter specifying what their safety 2024 performance measure targets are going to be last August, so we had only until February to make that decision. The recommendation that went before the Technical Planning Committee with its favorable recommendation was to adopt the statewide safety performance measure targets, and those are in the rightmost column there on the table on page 39. And so you can see that these are the number of fatalities statewide. Unfortunately, there is a projected increase from 894.2 in 2023 to about 926 as the target in 2024. The rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, also unfortunately a slight increase, really just a rounding increase from 1.088 to 1.10. The number of serious injury target went from 3,348.1 down to 3,281, so that did show an improvement. We do project the serious injury rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled from 2023, it was 4.068, and it's now projected to be 4.05 as our target in 2024. And the non-motorized serious injuries and fatalities, the target in 2023 was 399.6, and that's moving to 402. I will note that this is the first year by federal law that we're actually required to set improving targets or declining for these safety performance measure targets. The reason why you don't see that reflected necessarily for the number of fatalities and the rate of fatalities, for example, is because of the way that these measures are calculated using a 5-year moving average all the way from the 2018 to 2022 data that we have. So it is technically an improvement, but unfortunately we're still reflecting some of those earlier spikes. But the Technical Planning Committee did give these performance measure targets their favorable recommendation.
Are there any questions from Mr. Weber?
With the approval of 2401.
Second.
So I do have a motion and a second for adoption. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
The next meeting, next Technical Planning Committee meeting will be Tuesday, February 6th at 10 a.m. in this office. This will take place 1 week earlier than normal due to the commission meeting on Thursday, February 15th. Also, I'd like to mention, Ty sent out an email about walkability featuring Jeff Speck, which really featured Hammett. It was an excellent presentation. I'm glad I saw it, but unfortunately I didn't see it in any upcoming PBS specials, but keep an eye out. Maybe we can get a copy of that.
So I can say, so I was just attended Lakeshore Public Radio's 15-year hoopla last night on the way back from Indianapolis. And so we actually talked about that documentary. So he was intending to submit this for some film awards. So that's why it's not available online for streaming quite yet. But they intend to rebroadcast it in March. So when we have those dates, I can send that out again when it gets rebroadcasted again. But again, it was very well done. I would encourage you to watch it. Thank you.
Please take the time. And this concludes my report.
I would also, you mentioned for us to watch it. I did watch it. It was very interesting. And Cal Bellamy asked me to attend Lakeshore Public Media thing last night, but I had a plan commission meeting and I couldn't attend it. So I'm glad we had some representation there.
You did.
I recorded it, so anybody's welcome to come over to my house.
Thank you.
You're going to provide them.
Yes. Economic Development District Report, Desiree Kane.
Good morning. Few things to bring to your attention. We have a call set in early February with the organization that sponsors the Make My Move program. And this is a program that's designed to attract remote workers as new residents to communities. They're going to be explaining in more detail a potential financial contribution that communities can seek through the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. So hopefully we'll be able to distribute more information to you in February after that call. The Make My Move program was one of the action plan items in the Economic Recovery and Resiliency Plan. And for the new commissioners, that plan is on the website under the Economic Development tab. If you want to get acquainted with it, feel free to reach out to me and I can bring you up to speed on that. We're also having ongoing discussions with our new economic development representative from the EDA. Ellen Heinz is her name. So I've been arranging calls with her and several communities that have potential projects. If any of you have potential projects that you're thinking about submitting to the EDA for funding, I would encourage you to reach out to me so that we can have early discussions with Ellen about not just eligibility, but also competitiveness.
Can I add, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got to meet Ellen in person, also in Indianapolis, and she's fantastic. Our previous representative was fantastic because he was former NERC staff that got hired by EDA, but we lost him to reassignments with the EDA. But Ellen is really, really good, and so even though she's now got 2 states, Ohio and Indiana, I would really encourage you syncing up with Denery and having a conversation with Ellen if you have some projects that are eligible for Economic Development Administration funding.
Also, I'll be participating beginning next week in a 5-month community of practice cohort related to revolving loan fund programs. These will be 10 training sessions that talk about underwriting, about loan committee development, marketing your revolving loan fund, as well as innovative loan funds across the country. So once our Recover Northwest Indiana pool of money hopefully can be built back up through the repayment of loans, we'll be looking to kind of go out and market that more aggressively once we can make loans available. In addition, I've been participating in monthly calls with the IEDC as a entrepreneurial support organization. I've learned about an application that just opened up this week for technical assistance to small businesses through the state called INTAP. So you might look online and at NERC's social media for information about that program if you have small businesses in your community that could benefit from this type of technical assistance. In addition, they have launched kind of the state equivalent of the Northwest Indiana Biz Hub, which again is an online resource for entrepreneurs in Northwest Indiana. Now there is a similar online resource for the state, and that will be worth advertising to your chambers as well as your business community in case there are entrepreneurs in your community that can take advantage of the resources that are there. Lastly, I'm representing the IARC organization on the IEDAs, which is the Indiana Economic Development Association Study Committee on Talent Attraction, that has a particular focus on looking at the child care situation in Indiana. If any of you have thoughts or ideas or best practices that you've come across in your community, please reach out to me so that I can share those with the study committee. And I think the last item is that you're probably already aware through the forum that the ready applications are due on Friday. So, are there any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And I must say, before we turn it over to Matt, we all had a lot of snow, and at least from the City of LaPorte's perspective, we are certainly appreciative of all the work that happened to keep our main thoroughfares clean of snow as much as possible. So with that, Matt Deitchley, you're welcome.
Yeah, guess what? Snow, we're talking snow again. No, I also want to share that appreciation with both communities, all of the folks represented here. Obviously, you have your own snow operations, so I appreciate the partnership that we all share on that. Hopefully, your drive this morning wasn't too bad, at least on the state roads. Mine was, I would say, coming from an in-depth perspective, pretty good. But other people have different perspectives if you check online. Regardless, we do have a lot more coming our way. So especially in this vicinity, lake effect's going to hit us pretty hard next 48 hours. We have been out 24/7 since last week, and we will continue to do so. So we will do the best we can, but expect it in certain areas to be pretty dicey the next 48 hours, potentially with that lake effect. So, but we will do our best to take care of that. On the plus side, temperatures will be higher. With the sub-zero temperatures, as you probably already know, salt does not work very well, if at all, in certain temperatures. So that's been a real challenge lately. But I think we've gotten over the hump of that, and with the tough snow we've got coming, we do have some good temperatures for that salt. So just for what it's worth, especially for the new members that are here too, 511in.org, for what it's worth, is a great resource for you and your community to take a look at. You can get live snowplow cameras to take a look at how roads are. It's a really big step up from where we were just a few years ago. So hopefully you take advantage of that and share that with your folks. I use it every morning when I get ready to leave my route to see how things are working. So last thing I've got is community crossings. As you probably know, the first call of 2024 is open. And that will close on Wednesday, January 31st at 4 p.m. Central. We do have a pilot program this year where we're increasing the max award for the calendar year from $1 million to $1.5 million. I'm really happy to hear about that. I was excited that this was going to be coming, so hopefully that's something that you guys can benefit from. If you have questions, let me know. But all the previous eligibility requirements are in place for that too. So that's the last I've got. If anybody has questions for me, either now or afterwards, feel free to let me know.
Matt, one more time, 511in.org.
Yeah, 511in.org.
Questions for Matt? Thank you, Matt. Other?
Those snowplow cameras are great.
Yes.
They are.
Well, I'll tell you, many years ago, when I was in a previous role, I had announced that this was coming. It took about 3 years to actually come to fruition, even though I said it was going to be the next year. So I'm glad I'm finally not a liar anymore. But you're right; it's a big benefit to help plan your route. So I'm glad to hear that's working for you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vasquez.
Just out of curiosity, sir, in Porter County, 49 from north to south end of the county, is that a state road or a?
49 from north to south in Door County?
Yeah, all the way from up in Chesterton area, all the way down to.
I believe that is in that area.
Yeah, that will be covered by the state, as it does in county state.
Further questions? Saying none, other business? No other, time.
Well, very nice. So Kathy, sorry to, did you want to say something about the climate pollution? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was doing this earlier. Yes, there's 2 opportunities right now if you're interested in energy projects for your community or your government facilities. There's a Office of Energy Development, Community Development Block Grant for $100,000 to $200,000 projects that would either be energy efficiency, I don't know, new windows, insulation on town hall or whatever facilities. Then also the IDEM is applying to this federal climate pollution reduction grant, and there are several categories of projects that may be of interest to your community. If you've ever considered putting solar on a municipal facility, this is a great opportunity for that. Again, for energy efficiency retrofits or heat pumps, or if you somehow missed out on all the different electric vehicle things we've put out, you can do electric light duty vehicles, you can expand transit, a lot of different kinds of project. Battery storage, if you're worried about solar, because of battery storage, you can put that in these grants too. Ideally, they wanted the initial interest applications on the 15th, but they're actually rolling applications. The state's application will be due to EPA on April 1st. So there's a form, IDEM has a website for this. Really, at this point, you just need to have a kind of a project idea and a cost ballpark So if you have ever dreamed of anything like that, there's no match on these funds, and so the state would be doing most of the administration work with the federal agencies, so it's a good opportunity to at least give it a shot. So if you want more information about that, let me know, and I can funnel you websites.
Is there a website everybody can look at?
Yeah, well, if you just Google IDEM, Community Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, that's what you get. Indiana Department of Environmental Management.
I was gonna say, we could send something out to the
Yeah.
commission after this meeting.
Yeah.
In addition to all that too, the grants are very favorable. I don't think there's even a match.
Nope, there's no match. It's gonna be a competition of all from everything from cities to states, all competing against each other. So it makes more sense for us to go in with the state to make their application better.
Thank you. Announcements.
I've got a few. First off, we talked about coffee, and Channel 32 Fox out of Chicago, Caitlin Cody came to Cedar Lake and interviewed Big B Coffee. And I don't know if you got a Big B Coffee in the area, maybe we can get them to bring some coffee. But she interviewed me on Fox 32 and said, when she introduced me, she said, "You are a definite spokesperson for Cedar Lake." She did a long interview, and she's the meteorologist on 32. She did the 32 news that night, and then was up at 6 o'clock and in Cedar Lake doing this report. So if maybe somebody has a Big B Coffee in the area here, we could see if they could come here. By the time I would bring it here, it would be cold. All right. I have a new town manager. His name is Jeff Bungie. I don't know, is Jeff in the audience here? He said he's going to try and make it. Evidently he couldn't, but he started first of this year. And then second of all, I sent the United States Census for all the cities and towns population in the state of Indiana at a time. And he was going to circulate it to all the staff. I stayed up one night till midnight, and I got 19 sheets for Lake County, which lists the top population in Lake County down to the lower. And Schneider is the smallest. But you're in our county, and so I can give you a copy. I brought 19 of them for Lake County. I got 11 for Porter County, and I got 11 for LaPorte County. If any of you are interested in what your population is with the 2020 census.
Thank you, Robert.
That'd be nice to Schneider. I mean, after all, they live and had a meeting with them.
And we're very proud of that fact.
Other announcements? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I am Reggie Corthals. I work with the NICEWAG group. NICEWAG is the Northwest Indiana Stormwater Advisory Group. These are all your municipalities in Lake Porter and LaPorte County that are regulated under the NPDES MS4 stormwater permit. On March the 8th, Friday, in the city of Gary, we will be hosting a training program, certification training program for all contractors and developers that work in your community. This will make sure that they know what they're doing to be in compliance on their construction sites, and you will know what's required of you as an MS4. IDEM is looking at putting more and more responsibility on the local entities, so you'll be required to review your ordinances, update them, and this will be a course that will help you do that. We're going to bring in the NPDES Institute from Georgia. This will allow us to provide certification to the contractors that attend and certification to the municipalities. Bill, anything else?
Ditto. Thank you, Reggie.
Okay.
Everybody go. Send your people.
Yes.
Thank you.
Question.
Mr.
Ma'am,
Vasquez.
you gave us the date and the city, time and place, please.
I will. The time is in the morning from 7 till 12:30. It's at the Gary Career Center on 35th Street off of 65. I think I got that right. It's new. I will make sure Kathy has that. We will post it on the Indiana MS4 Partnership website, and I'll make sure it gets sent out to all of you so you have it.
Thank you.
All of your MS4 people in the county, in Porter County or anyplace else will have this information also.
Thank you, Reggie. George?
Question, would elected officials benefit from attending? something like that?
Absolutely. There's so many new elected officials, and I've met with some of them, trying to understand what's required under this permit. The Indiana MS4 Partnership holds an annual meeting in May, something that I started when I was at IDEM, but now we're a not-for-profit. It's May the 13th and 14th in Plainfield. We're having a special day or a special session for newly elected officials because so many don't know what's required.
And what are the costs?
To attend that one session on Monday, I think it's $100. Go to indianams4.org. That's the state website for all of the MS4 permittees, and I'll have all the information posted up there.
And when is that date again?
That's May, Monday and Tuesday, which is the 13th and 14th. We've also petitioned the governor to declare that week in May as State of Indiana Stormwater Week. And a lot of other states are doing that, particularly in the Region 5 area. So we're hoping that will be added to it. We'll get more information.
Thank you, Reggie. Ty?
Just two very, very quick things. First of all, in going and reading through the names, realized that George Topol also was perfect attendance and somehow got skipped over. So just want to acknowledge George Topol's award as well. We've got one already printed out for you, ready to go. And then secondly, I don't know if I gave you one of these before, but as official chair, you get an official gold NERC pen.
I'm honored.
So wear that proudly.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn? Second?
Hey, Ryan.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Andy, do you have a minute after? Get a card.
Yeah, no, no.